I don't think I do it.
Arsenal started like house on fire. Signing number 2 for this new era. It's Judgment Day, people. Yeah! What did your boy tell you? It was never in doubt. Never in doubt. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I hope you are all doing well. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. I've been very, very busy today, so my apologies that I didn't react to this press conference earlier on, but I'm here now. I'll also be back at 10 o'clock tonight, where I'll be doing an opposition preview with Kendall Rowan. We're going to be on the 12th Man podcast at 7 for half an hour, talking about Leeds. And then I'm jumping over onto the Loaded Mag channel at 7:30 for about an hour to talk about the Newcastle game on an opposition channel. And then I'll also be on TalkSport talking about the game. I don't know if that'll go out now or it'll be pre-recorded or whatever, but it's going to be a busy, busy evening. Big up to you, Dave. I hope, yeah, Kian, it's getting to that level now where it is becoming a bit of a full-time job. And as I say, you know, the dream may come a reality to do this full-time. Please smash a like on the video, get your comments in, hit the notification bell, and please do subscribe to my channel as well, because we're getting so close. We want to get to 20K. Yeah, we want to get to 20K before the end of the year. We're on 19,445. Yeah, so we're nearly halfway there now. Yeah. So listen, we're going to get into Big Sam's pre-match presser, of course. I just want to start with this news. I told you all the other day when we did the video, he was asked about Tyler Adams. He said, factual, he will not be back. So that rumour there is just gone, right? That rumour's gone. We went through it the other day on the video that I put together as well, and we looked at the actual recovery time. Big Sam shut it down. On the other injuries as well, he mentioned Cooper, Dallas, Adams within that, of course. But he was basically saying, you won't see Adams for the rest of the season. And then he didn't know how to say Sinistera. What that also, which doesn't really matter, but it also, you know, ties in with that thing of, if you're injured, you are no use to me. Therefore, go get well. That's the way Big Sam looks at it. He's only here for 4 games as well. He's not looking too far in the future, of course, or 3 games now. So he's looking at, you know, he didn't even know his bloody name, did he? He went Sinnies, yeah. He didn't know how to say his name. So, yeah, look, they're injured. They're not going to feature. What does that mean for the lineup? Well, he did say a little bit later on there will be changes, but we'll get into all of that. So after City was asked, you were hopeful after City. What is it you saw? How do you convert that performance into wins? Because second half, we were good. And I know I'm clutching here, but we won the second half. And that probably would have been one of Big Sam's messages. Go out there, don't concede in this second half, you know. And we actually won it 1-0. Yeah. Shame we don't get 1.5 points for that. But he did say, I saw fight and determination. I'd have to agree with him on that. There was put my teeth in. There was a determination from the players. My worry was, when we conceded, would they go to pot? And they didn't. They remained on point. They remained on, they remained doing what was asked of them, and didn't capitulate, which is what we had done for quite some time now. We held out for 20 minutes. Okay, Gundogan, 2 similar sort of goals that probably won't happen again and under Big Sam. I think he'll have worked on that cut back to the edge of the box. We've seen it quite a lot, if we're being totally honest. I think it's on the midfielders to be aware of what's around them personally. And everyone just drawn towards the, deeper and deeper, if you like, drawn towards the byline. And, someone needs to be wary of saying, right, okay, who's coming in on the edge of the box? Of course, you're playing City. Of course, they have top players, right? Gundogan just ghosted in there. And maybe sometimes you just can't prevent it. But I think it was preventable, definitely second time around. But we did see a determination from the group of players. He said, I also saw an ability to improve in-game, which, again, after the first 45, we weren't great. We then came out a little bit more. And as I said, we were better in the second half. He said, we worked this week and hopefully you'll see an improved performance. In terms of what we do for Newcastle, we have to prepare to defend against their strengths. And obviously, make sure we expose their weaknesses during the game. He was asked if Cooper was close to the lineup. Just let me move the dog's toy because it's banging off my desk. Before I talk on Cooper, let me just get Alex's super chat up. Big up to you, Alex. Thank you for always supporting the channel. He says, is it just me or some of these questions sound ridiculous from the media in these press conferences? Brutal. Which kind of ones? Like, there are some silly ones in there. Like, why were you talking about Newcastle and all that sort of stuff? It's 2007 when he managed there, but we'll get on to all that. But big up to you, Alex. Thank you for supporting, as always. So, is Cooper close? He said next week, I think. It's important to keep everyone fit if we can. And this is where he, for me, sort of like stuck it into the board a little bit. He said the squad at Leeds is light. It's so light, and we have to protect them, because there's nothing underneath it. We have to be careful with rest and recovery, making sure they're getting enough recuperation because of the size of the squad. He also mentioned the fact you need 5 quality subs. Now, that's part of a manager's remit these days, is to have 5 quality subs that can come on and affect the game. I did say this after the game, that I did think Big Sam got his subs right. Not one of them, Pascal, came on and we actually improved. Rodrigo came on, I think Greenwood came on, and we improved for me personally. Of course, Strauch, long way off. But what it also made me realise is just like, look at the state of our squad. Like, I can't believe I ever backed Victor Orta, because when you look at it now in the cold light of day, you realise just how much of a poor job that guy did. Because Big Sam's there mentioned about the size of the squad. We were told it was Bielsa. You can forgive Bielsa for it because you get amazing football and you're winning football matches. But then also, that was always Bielsa. Then if you remember, Jesse Marsh, when he came in, started to say the same rhetoric. It was a Victor Orta thing as well. It was a Victor Orta thing as well. So Big Sam mentioned about needing 5 quality subs. And I look at the state of our bench for years now. It has been piss poor. Piss poor. I remember going to Stoke away in our first season under Bielsa. We lost the game and he was bringing on like Jordan Stevens. I don't know where he's playing now, maybe in Barrow. You look to this season, we've got kids on the bench that aren't really getting any minutes. It's just been, it's shoddy. The squad is shoddy. So it just feeds into that recruitment, and he did say that, managers need to recruit well and ensure that they have 5 quality subs as well. And he mentioned about, he thought he got the subs right last week, and I agreed with that. I said that in my post-match as well. They asked him if there was a personal edge going into the Newcastle game, because obviously he managed there. Let's not forget he managed at West Ham as well. So you would hope he would like to stick it to them. I agree with you about Bielsa working miracles. You know that. We'll talk a little bit about Bielsa at the end as well, because I've had some more information today. I can't share that information. The person's asked me to not say anything about it, and I will respect that. But I've had some more information. But there are others that totally rubbish it. But I think we can all agree. There's more meat on the bones. There's more meat on the bones than just Juan Martinez putting it out on Twitter, is what I'll say. Is there a personal edge going into the Newcastle game? And he said, look, it was a long time ago, 2007. Was I disappointed? Yes. He said it took a massive knock of my career for him to get to a stage where he was managing a huge club like Newcastle, which is what they are. I consider... People might disagree, but I consider us like Newcastle in the bracket underneath the I hate saying it, the Arsenals. I won't say that other club, but you have them massive clubs, top 6 if you like, although I think we're bigger than some in my opinion, for worldwide fan base. I would say we're bigger than Spurs. They'll disagree, but that's just my opinion. But you've got your Arsenals, and now City are up there, you've got your Liverpool, and then I think underneath that you have Newcastle, you have Leeds, and that's where I would say we're very similar in that respect. We just need some of that money as well, some of that cash money. But he said, yeah, it took a massive knock, to my career, and I wanted to take Newcastle far. I wanted to take Newcastle far, but obviously there was a change of ownership. Mike Ashley came in, didn't he? And Big Sam got booted out. Be interesting to see what Kendall says about Sam tonight. I'm going to get her thoughts on Big Sam. I don't know why he was asked this question. Because I don't... well, we weren't time wasting, so I don't know why this question was mentioned. But he was asked about his observations about time wasting. I don't know why. And he just came back and went, who doesn't do it? Klopp, Ten Hag, they all time waste, don't be daft. I like that. This is what I like about Sam. Like, he went, who said it? Who said it? And he went, oh, Klopp, Ten Hag. And he went, well, they do it. Stop being daft. Do you know what I mean? And then he went on to a big monologue about injuries to players. They play too many games, etc., etc. But then he did say this, which I liked as well. He went, because the players want too much money. You know, the players want too much money, so therefore we have to increase the product, and therefore we have to play more games because we have to increase the product further, etc., etc., etc. It's all a knock-on effect. It's all a domino effect. But yeah, Alex, I get what you're saying. Stupid question. Why are you asking him that? Like, and like El said, everyone does do it. Of course they do. It's like the teams, like your cities, etc. Or let's be real here, right? At the end of the games, when Man United are 2-1 up or Man City are 2-1 up, they make changes. They bring on Calvin Phillips on the 95th minute for charity minutes, 30 seconds here and there. What's the point? What's the purpose of that? You're not making a tactical tweak. You're doing it to bring down the minutes. You're not saving Rodri by bringing on Calvin, for example, for 3 minutes, are you? Do you know what I mean? So he's right in what he's saying there. But some do it more than others. Like, listen, let's not beat around the bush here. I wish we did it more. We never did out like that under Bielsa. We were never like that. And that is one of the things we like. But we know how Bielsa works, right? But you best believe if Leeds United go 1-0 up, we will time waste like never before. Joel Robles will probably pick up a yellow. My man will take his time on the goal kicks. And as a Leeds United fan, I want him to take his time. It's the dark arts of football that we didn't do a lot of under Bielsa. Jesse wanted us to do too much of it, you know, coming out saying, I like to get in the referee's head, and then next game he gets a red card. Like, what are you doing? Obviously, don't tell people your secrets, you know what I mean? And then Javi just did nothing. He was too nice, wasn't he? But yeah, he was bang on the money about there being too many games. The game's fast-paced. Sometimes you need rest recuperation, but you can't because there's too many games because the players want too much money. So therefore, you have to increase the product. It's all byproduct. And one day, football will just tumble down on itself. I'm sure of it. It'll like the dogs chewing this tube. Stop chewing everything, man. I'm busy today. I went to buy a new couch. I bought a new couch. Only a second-hand one from a charity shop, but it's really nice, and that's what I've been doing. And I've had to put froze on it because these two dogs battered my couch, so they're not allowed. They're not allowed on the couch anymore. So what's going on in the chat, man? Someone's just said, out, you Bellend. I'm like, why are you calling me a Bellend for? What's going on? And then I've realised it's not me. Oh, stop with it, man. Coming on about fighting in the chat and that. Come on now. Imagine. How do you deal with Newcastle then? That was the question. How do you deal with Newcastle? And he said, look, there are different... They play differently to what City do, and we'll have to manage the game dependent on the opponent, nullify their strengths, expose their weaknesses. Yeah, that's what they'll be doing. I think it was Adam Pope then asked him, look, is it a challenge for you to be aware that you're at home, so therefore you have to be the aggressor, but also have that defensive... You know, on that last night as well, Colin, where I was flatulent, I got off that stream and I was panicking, you know. I was thinking, oh no, man, I'm going to get cancelled. And then I rung someone and I was like, look, watch this. And they were like, what are you on about, Joe? Like, chill out. And I was going, no, I'm going to get cancelled for that. I only farted, didn't I? Oh, man, it's the world that we live in, man. I was like, no, what's going on? James Smith, yeah. No worries, bro. So he was asked, is it challenging to be open at home and then have defensive resilience? And he says, look, they have great players up top. They have great players up top, and we have to manage Wilson, of course. It'd be interesting to see because he tried 2 up top against Arsenal, Isak and Wilson. It didn't work, so I wonder who we'll go for. Wilson, every time Wilson plays against our rivals, he always scores. And there's something I like about Wilson. So I'm like, he might play and do a Haaland and not score. I don't know. Whichever way they go, we need to be worried because Wilson can score goals as can Isak, you know? But he did say this, and I was speaking to my friend as well, Danny, Lucy, Danny, you know you are, bro. Danny Burke, my man, congratulations on winning promotion and all that. But he was saying, he actually said this point before Sam said about Leeds United being able to get in behind Newcastle, you know, in behind Dan Burn, in behind Kieran Trippier. They're not the quickest. They do like to go forward. So there is the opportunity to get in behind their fullbacks and create moments, you know, turn the defence if you like. But he did say we have to get the ball right. And for me, there was quite a bit of this in the press conference where he was sort of like laying down the gauntlet, sort of calling out the players a little bit, I felt. Because he said, we can get in behind them, right? But we have to get the ball right. We have to get the balls right in the final third. And I know there was a lot of that against City where, you know, that final pass was lacking. There was one, I think Bamford tried to cross for Rodrigo and it was way off, you know. Then, again, threw the gauntlet down. I'm a fan and even I got nervous about Big Sam. I was thinking, you're ramping up the pressure here. But I'm not an elite footballer, yeah? I'm not an elite footballer. I just worry about our players' mentality and being able to take it as in he is laying down the gauntlet to me and I am going to, you know, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. Yeah. But he did say, I want to score first. I want us to have a good start. Yeah. I want us to go forward with that. Yeah. He said, because mentally it would be difficult if we go behind. But they must not go daft. He did say that. They must not go daft and leave themselves open if they do go behind, like they have done in previous games. And we did do that, right? We marauded and became, you know, far too open at the back. Listen, I'm not taking KG down. He can have that. He can have that. Gary Davenport, yeah, my man's done UFC and all sorts. Yeah, listen, I'm. But what I will say, I watch wrestling, so I'll be able to I'll be able to pull out all the moves, Hurricane Ranas. They won't know what's hit them. For brute strength, remember John Cena when he goes ruthless aggression. They would do me, but I'd be able to do all the mad like swanton bombs and that. They wouldn't know what's hit them. You know what I mean? Yeah, crossroads and that. I'd come out and do the crossroads on them. They wouldn't know what's happening. Anyway, but he's right in what he's saying. Even if we do go behind, we cannot go and, you know, chase it too much. We have to remain disciplined because we lost that. We lost that, I think, under Javi towards the end. He was asked about the results Monday. He was asked about the results Monday and he said, look, nothing's changed, which is what we were saying. I know on Monday and Tuesday we were all downbeat, but when we actually looked at it, I did that video the other day on the running, if you remember. Like, we looked at that video and we were saying, actually, nothing's changed. And Big Sam said exactly the same, and he'll be saying that to the camp as well, because he said, we've still got to win our games. So it's as you were. You know what I mean? And he made this point again, throwing down the gauntlet. Again, for me, you know, I was a little bit worried, you know what I mean, when he said, I still want to be in it when we play Spurs, because I just felt pressure. And I'm a fan watching it and I'm thinking, I'm making my notes as I type away, and I'm going, I'm feeling that pressure already. So the players need to be, but they're elite sportsmen and so they should. Let me just say that, so they should. But he did say, I still want to be in it when we play Spurs. And I think he's targeting that, innit? You know, Elland Road, final day, sun shining. You know what I mean? Boom. So, yeah, he still wants to be in it against Spurs. He was asked about Greenwood, and I'm going to go as far as, D. Turley, exactly. It's a final day shootout. Final day shootout. Like, as a fan and as a content creator and as a person that does watch-alongs, like, I'm like, yo, as long as that ends in our way, that's going to be an epic day. If we're all still in it, and Leeds United, listen, I'd rather not have the jeopardy, if I'm honest. I'd rather we be safe now. But, you know, if we get to that final day and stay up, Oh, man, there's going to be scenes, isn't there? There's going to be scenes. So, yeah, Greenwood, he was asked about Greenwood. And I would go as far as to say Greenwood comes in for Mark Rocker, I think. I think Mark Rocker might get dropped. I think Sam alluded to changes. Sam alluded to players as well. I thought he was pretty savage on Bamford, by the way, without being savage on Bamford. And I'll explain why. But he was asked about Greenwood. What's he done? Has he impressed? And he went, look, everyone's done enough this week and we will make changes for this game. But you will find out that on Saturday. And I think Greenwood will come in. He is pretty combative. I don't think he can tackle well, but he'll get himself about. And who can remember when Jesse did bring him in against Brentford, I remember saying, what is he doing? And he actually played well. Also, Greenwood is a set piece specialist. We haven't seen enough of it, but who would you rather crossing the ball and taking free kicks on the edge of the area? For me, it's Sam Greenwood. And if we look at the state of Mark Rocker's free kick, for one of them where it cut to Big Sam and he went, fucking waste, man. Fucking waste. That sort of stuff, he'll be like, nah, out you come, son. I think he was a bit lackadaisical. I thought McKennie actually played okay against City. So if I'm dropping anyone, it'd be Mark Rocker. And I think he will use Greenwood. So Mark Rocker might see the bench. He was then asked about Newcastle again, about how far would you have taken them? Because he said he wanted to take them far. And he went, there is no point in answering that question. It was ages ago. I like that he shut it down. He says, you are getting no headlines from me this week. And then he mentioned how, I took it from Sir Alex and all these other managers. I gave you your headline. It took the pressure off the players. And we all said that at the time, innit? We all said that at the time. That's what he was doing. So he said, all this week is just pure focus on Newcastle. We desperately need 3 points, he said. And then this is where the kicker comes. He says, we cannot afford to lose. We must get something. That made me like, oh, God, don't, Sam. Don't. Because it ain't over if we do lose, by the way. It isn't. Just remember that. And Big Sam did say that a little bit later on, but he said we desperately need 3 points and we cannot afford to lose. We must get something. That were the words that came out of his mouth. And I think he's been relaying that, to the players, because Phil A asked him about that a little bit later on. He was asked first time at Elland Road. Love it. He said, love it, great history, great stadium. He was speaking to Eddie Gray today, and he said he's the fittest 70-odd-year-old he's ever met. And he said, listen, I wish he could put his boots on. We know Eddie Gray's part of the furniture. He's got, nephews and grandkids and all that sort of stuff that are at the football club. And he just said, look, it's a great football club, which we know, right? He was then asked about the under-21s, because I know there's been a lot of fans as well that have said, what about Joseph? What about Perkins? Why not use these? Alex, I agree with you, mate. Of course, yeah. He knows what he's doing. He's big up on sports psychology, and it's whether or not they can step up to the plate, right, Alex? He's laying down the gauntlet. They need to hear what he's saying and say, okay, we move. But under 21s, he was asked about, is it unfair to throw them in? And he said, look, it's a big decision to do it. I'm not afraid to make big decisions, but I've got to be sure that they can handle the occasion. It's a lot of pressure and they could freeze. And we need good mental resilience. But he also said that. About the senior pros as well. He went, but it's not just the young ones. And how many players have come through Leeds United that have wilted, that haven't hit the heights they should have? Let's be realistic here. There's been a lot that can't deal with the Elland Road crowd. You could argue, although I don't agree, but people say Bamford is susceptible to that. His best goal-scoring season was when there was no fans. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't agree with it, but it's what it is. But he did say this as well. The fear must drive them on. The fear of losing their Premier League status must drive them on. We need them to fight and fight hard. And I loved all that sort of stuff, because they should be hearing it. And this is the kind of thumping things he should be saying in the presser, right? In the changing room before the game. He was asked about, has anyone surprised you yet on the training pitch? You've now spent a week with them. He said, look, the one thing that did surprise me is their attitude. And I think that's been something that's come out continuously from all the managers. They're trying their best, yada, yada, yada. We need to see it on the pitch, of course. But I think a lot of that comes from the grounding from Bielsa and the core group that were there, I think, anyway. I might be wrong, but I do think that. And he did say the attitude in the group's great. And then he said this, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, and I want to get, the chat's thoughts. But he said, what did surprise me is they have to lift up their energy levels to compete. They've been hammered, and it feels like they've got lead boots on. So we've got them running around as much as we can. And there has been chat about them being unfit. Like they were never, ever unfit under Bielsa. And I just feel, and people might disagree, that when he's mentioning getting hammered, I was like, is he talking about Bielsa there? Like they were hammered under Bielsa. But then again, it's been 18 months near enough. So has Jesse, because he was never about tactical coaching, he was all vibes. Has Jesse just said and sacked all that off to a level where they're literally unfit? Exactly, Sam. Fitness levels under Bielsa, you could never question. Never question. And I just feel when Jesse was coming in saying they were overtrained, they were this, they were that for me, he's just like, yeah, what a bad football manager. But he said, look, I've got them running around as much as we can. He mentioned about their stamina levels. Again, that's fitness. And you need that in order to play at the highest level. And that's what he said, it surprised him how much they have to lift up their energy levels in order to compete. It should be second nature to them. Again, Javi as well. Javi only had them for a short while. Remember, pre-season was all Jesse. That's where they get, like Jinder said, Jesse got rid of the sleeping pods and made it his media centre. Yeah, so mental. Yeah, Jesse's double Netflix sessions have ruined their cardio. Yeah. Yeah, no, Sheza, I get that. Their fitness levels would have been nowhere close to Bielsa, but to be such a drop-off, it's not acceptable, is it? Almost feels like he's just gone, listen, boys, don't worry about that. I'm all about creating a vibe. Honestly, how that guy managed in the Premier League is beyond me, but there you go. How beneficial has a full week been for you with the team? And he says, look, one of the positives when I took the job, I looked at the fixture list. City, Newcastle, West Ham, Spurs, not easy fixtures, but he says one of the main positives was the fact that between each game we have a week off, like a week of training, because obviously it's the end of the season. I think there's only one double game week left, and that's next week for Brighton and Man United. I think they've got 2 games in the same week, but the rest, it's just like every Saturday, every weekend in effect. So, so that's important. Between the teams, we have a full week of training. Beren Cross, and I thought this was pretty scathing towards Bamford without being pretty scathing, if you ask me. And that I thought Bamford still might start, but based on what he said here, I'm going to disagree. He said, Beren asked him, look, Bamford had a bit of a thankless task last week up against City. Rodrigo came on and scored that goal, and he just went, it's not the system, it's the players. It's the players that play in it and their inability to be able to do their jobs right. And I was a bit like, ooh, ouch. Do you know what I mean? Because he then mentioned the setup 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 in possession, 4-2-3-1 out of possession and all this sort of stuff. But he said, everyone plays this. But it's not the system, it's the players that play in it. Their inability to be able to do their jobs right. And a lot of people mentioned about Bamford and his hold-up play against City. If you have a better striker, maybe we get more, further up the pitch, etc. So that felt like, to me, pretty scathing towards Bamford without him actually name-checking anyone. That's the way I read it, and that's what you come for, press conference reacting to, what Sam had to say and give you my interpretation of it. And that's what I felt he was saying there, because he actually mentioned their inability to be able to do their jobs right in a roundabout way. So we might see Rodrigo start, but I would argue, and I'll mention, I still think Rodrigo is not as good as Bamford at doing it as bad as Bamford is, So he said it's a must win. What happens if you lose? Because obviously Allardyce he's been smart with what he's saying, as Alex mentioned earlier, throwing down the gauntlet. But obviously, if we lose, then what? Because you're basically saying we must win. And he did say, look, it won't be over. But it would then mean we have to get 2 wins from the last 2. And even then, it might not be enough. So he's saying, depending on how results go, if we lose this one, we could still get 6 points and not stay up. So that's why he's putting so much importance on this game. I disagree with him, but obviously he's got to G the players up, etc. If we did lose this game, I still think 6 points keeps you up because that would put us on 36. That'd be huge. But obviously he's laying down the gauntlet. But, he was asked, you're saying, you can't lose. So what happens if you do? And he said, look, it won't be over. But it would mean we would need to get 2 wins from the last 2. And even that might not be enough. To give ourselves the best chance, we need a point on the board. But more importantly, 3. Imagine getting 3 against Newcastle at home. It would be amazing. And then he said, so does that mean a clean sheet then? And he went, every game you need a clean sheet. Like, what you on about? Because again, he was asked how important is it to have a clean sheet? And he said, every game you need a clean sheet. And then he mentioned Eddie Gray again. He spoke about Eddie Gray and he said, look, Eddie Gray played in that fantastic team. And he said, if they didn't play well, they made sure that they kept a clean sheet. It's that must not lose mentality, right? And he said, all the best teams have the best defensive record. So if you don't want to listen to me, listen to Eddie. If you don't want to listen to me, listen to Pep. And then he mentioned about Sir Alex as well. But yeah, keeps mentioning him a bit too much for my liking. He was asked about it being a recce. A recce, has it been a recce this week to get to know the squad much better? Because obviously he only came in like Tuesday, Wednesday, and we were playing Saturday. And he said, look, it's been all about balance this week. We heard that a lot from Javi, right? But he said it's all about balance. We've got all this stuff at our disposal, but we must not overload them. We have to find that middle ground. That'll be between like tactical tweaks on video to what they do on the pitch, etc., and not overloading them with that information. He mentioned about breaking it into small segments for them so there's not too much mental fatigue. He mentioned again about his sports psychologists always getting on at him, saying, you're giving them too much. I like that Big Sam's more in tune with that side of things as well. You know what I mean? And he said, look, what we don't want to do is ensure that we leave our strength on the training pitch. We need to show our strengths in Elland Road on the squared circle, if you like. So, yeah, hopefully, he said, hopefully that improves things this week. So we must, take what's been said and do it on the pitch, man, and hopefully get something from Newcastle. And then Phil asked him, is it better, Sam, to spell it out to the players at this stage of the season? You cannot lose. You know what I mean? Like he said, he's been full and frank with the players, saying to them, you must not lose this game. Like if I'm a player, I'd be shitting it. But I guess that says more about my mentality. Other players will thrive on it. And he's very good man manager. So he'll be putting his arm around those that need it and be telling those that have to hear it, right? So he then responded with that to say, look, they know themselves, or they should do, because their Premier League status is in jeopardy. The club's worked so hard to get here, and then he mentioned about the first 2 years being the hardest. And if you get to year 3, it increases your chances of staying up by 25%. And then he must have thought we're in year 2. And then he went, oh, no, we're in year 3. And that just further foolproofs the shit show this board, because that is what happens. We've seen it with Wolves. 2 seasons down the bottom. Next season, Europe. Aston Villa, 2 seasons down the bottom. Stay up because of goal line technology. Now chasing Europe. And that's what it's that 3 years. If you can stay up them first 2 years, how many teams do you see? Sheffield United stay up, went down second year. West Brom down. Fulham will be in trouble next season. I fully believe that fact. It's that second season syndrome, but they do say if you stay up that third, and he said, look, we looked at it at Bolton, we looked at the statistical data. If you can get to that third year, you've got a 25% percentage of staying up if you get it right. And again, it just further shows a shit show that how can you go from 9th to relegation to then relegation again? You should have learned enough. You should have enough money swirling around there to improve it to a certain level. Say, like if Luton came up, for example, they're going to struggle financially. They'll probably go straight back down. Do you see what I'm saying? But if they were able to stay up, and then you can really start to build. But our shit show didn't do that. Our shit show have wasted money left, right, and centre. Our shit show have failed to improve the squad to, a sufficient level. Shocking. Listen, I don't want to stay on too long because I'll be sat in this chair the most of the night. But that was your Big Sam presser. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you subscribe as well because we're on the way to 20k. I'm going to be 7 o'clock on the 12th Man podcast, 7:30 on the Loaded Mag podcast, yeah? And then at 10 o'clock, I'll be back here with Kendall Rowan looking ahead to this game for your opposition preview. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I will see you all later if you're there. And then tomorrow it'll be the big match preview, and then Saturday it's game day. Watch-alongs again this weekend, just by the way. No West Ham live, Patrick. No, I was considerate, but no West Ham live, mate, because I've got other commitments. But Saturday, Leeds, Newcastle, obviously. 3 o'clock is Forest versus Chelsea. Sunday is Everton versus City. And then Monday is Leicester, Liverpool. You can catch it all on the Just Joe Football Show. By then, hopefully, we'll have hit that 20k. But thanks always for watching, and I'll see you later on. Oh, I mentioned something about Bielsa, Russ. Yeah. Look, it's still a mover. Don't let people tell you it ain't. We'll wait and see, innit? We'll wait and see, but I think it's still there. We're hearing more today. I've heard more anyway. You know what I mean? Anyway, we move.